Greetings. It's the Rantcast, Metaphysician 7. Tuesday. Or, as I always say, whenever you hear this, maybe the Wednesday, maybe the Thursday. We're working with the backlog of episodes. Continuing on with that theme of social services. And I guess the real theme is, one theme here could be, is there a disconnect in all the various social services? Like when we look at what happens when somebody ends up in a Skid Row scenario, what are the overarching themes when one is Skid Row? Alright. Fiendry, aka addictions, lack of employment, at least conventional employment, lack of housing, maybe the mental health services. For women, there's a domestic violence element there too. If you're an immigrant, there's a recent immigrant thing too. If you're let me rephrase that. If you're an immigrant, there is a specific set of needs you have, whether you're a refugee or an immigrant. Maybe there's lack of. This is my thing with the food thing. I think, again, this is some of the pronounced differences between the U.S. and Canada. This is actually my opinion. This is an opinion, and y'all might hate me for this, but in this city, in this country, but specifically this city, if you starve in this city, it speaks to one or two things. Either you're trying to starve, or you don't know about the various services, or the food banks, or the free lunches, which in and of itself is a problem, because it means that there's a lack of info surrounding this. But in any case, lack of food. Like there's food banks all over the place. And I'm sure there's people who have come up with ways to game the food bank system. You know what I mean? Just looking at some of the characters that would roll through, I'm like, there's a game being played here, and I won't get into that more. But food, what else? Maybe you lack school. Maybe if you're a younger person, maybe you slip through the cracks of conventional, the conventional public schooling. What are some of the alternative schools you can go to, and so on? That's something else too. Let me think. Counseling, yeah, that's another one. I guess that kind of falls into the mental health subcategory. Anyway, the point I'm making is there's a bunch of different factors of what happens when somebody becomes Skid Row, and often you piece together the puzzle of how you can get back on your feet. There's no guide of sorts. You know what I mean? There's no PDF. Ironically, many of the people who are Skid Row got smartphones, but that's another topic. Smartphones are actually forced upon us at this point. But in any case, there's no PDF is the point. There's no guide of sorts. So then what do? You kind of get a piece of advice here, a tidbit of advice there, a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe you do your Googles, you find out some info here and there. So let's zero in on when you got, as I like to say, NFA, aka quote unquote, no fixed address. So you got no fixed address. What you're going to be eventually guided to or directed to. So then there's the shelters too, obviously. So what shelters are in town? That's another kind of a resource. In this city, it's a bit smaller, so there's a few obvious ones, but one place you're going to get directed to is a place called Housing Help, housinghelp.ca. They're down on Cooper. And I have for some reason now, as the weeks have gone on, I'm becoming like, I don't know whether it's self-conscious of talking shit about things or whatever, but like I'm not as likely to just kind of say things as I want to say them for some reason. I don't know. And it's not like I envisioned this rantcast as something that's going to be legitimizing for me. This all started as a way just to get out of my head. Well, this current incarnation of broadcasting in my life is something just to get out of my head. It was never about it wasn't about playing music, even though earlier episodes were. But for some reason now it's like, even now that it's about getting out of my head and, talking about experiences, like I'm trying to hold back. Let me just say it how it is. This particular place, housinghelp.ca, they tell you, yeah, go here, and they got listings. They got listings in a binder. You go through the listings and you'll eventually find something. My main gripe with this place, as someone coming in off the street, was the binder often had outdated listings. Now, as the years have gone on, I'm kind of realizing, okay, maybe if I had an actual caseworker, it'd be a bit different. Just messing with the sound here. The gain. Yeah, maybe if I had from the jump had a what they call a caseworker, the caseworker would have been a bit more on the ball or a bit more helpful. So I can accept that maybe there was that part of it too. But let's just zero in. It should be the whole experience should be beneficial regardless of whether you have a caseworker or not. Having a binder full of listings that don't go anywhere isn't exactly like, you know what I mean? Like people are wasting their time coming in here. So let me just first of all, what's Housing Help? Housinghelp.ca. About us. Housing Help is a non-profit charitable agency providing assistance to people in the city of Ottawa who are homeless or at the risk of homelessness to access and maintain appropriate and affordable housing. Staff work with individuals and families to prevent evictions, resolve landlord and tenant disputes, educate tenants about their rights and responsibilities, and help them find affordable rental housing. Mission statement. Housing Help believes that every person has the right to secure, adequate, and affordable housing. Housing Help's mission is to advocate those rights and to support disadvantaged people in meeting their housing needs. Our services are free and offered in both French and English. Address 309 Cooper, Suite 502. I got a bit of time today. I'm going to go up in there and take some. I'm going to show you all the binder. The binder that I'm talking about. And show you the listings. I'm not going to, obviously it's a place, it's a service, right? I can't sit there and call through all of them. You know what, yeah. Okay, I'm on my way there this morning. I'm going to stroll through. I'm going to get as many numbers as possible in the amount of time. Because they don't really, see, this is the thing. When you come in off the street, they may say, hey, sir, what's going on? Meaning, and in other words, what they really say is, how can I help you, sir? But really, what's going to happen is I'm just going to be directed to and this is, maybe they've ratcheted up the services in the past 4 years, 5 years. But you're not going to have, like in a few episodes in the past I was talking about the dude at the grocery store who rolls up on you with the self-serve checkout, who's like overly trying to interact with you while you do your thing. This doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? This is the place where that kind of a thing should happen, but it doesn't happen. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get as many numbers as possible, and I'm going to we're going to see how many of these listings are still still current. Because what I found was that I went through maybe 12 numbers, 13, 14, 15 numbers, and they're all like, yeah, we rented already. I'm like, okay. Now, I never told the front desk, but I shouldn't have to because they work there. And so on. And let's backtrack in the episode here. I was talking about holding my tongue and becoming more self-conscious of what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I have a beef with these people. Not really a beef. I have a gripe with how their services work. This is often a theme that the downtrodden, that the more Skid Row people have with all the services. There's a lack of connection between services. You don't really know about certain services when you need to test. And often people slip through the cracks. As far as being 100% getting the access that they need, the access to the services that they need. And so people have gripes, including myself. So I'm going to talk about them. They're talking, man. You know what I mean? Anyway, so here's our services, housinghelp.on.ca. Our services. Housing Help provides general housing assistance to individuals and families in Ottawa. From questions about tenancy to the potential loss of housing, staff work with clients to solve a wide range of housing issues. Housing loss prevention, maintenance, health and safety issues in the home, risk of eviction, rent arrears, hydro or gas arrears, landlord/tenant disputes, housing search, searching for affordable housing in the private market, applications for subsidized housing, information about your rights and responsibilities as a tenant or co-op member, referrals, access to community resources and supports. Okay, we'll see how that kind of goes when I go up in there. Here we go. Oh yeah, and there's the social housing registry. This is interesting. And this whole, I don't even know whether you call it a project within the Rantcast, but this whole little discussion about the various services and the resources, it keeps triggering memories of where I would go. I just remembered the social housing registry. I forgot about that whole process. Even the housing help thing. I'm recording this today. Whenever you guys hear this, it might have been 2 days ago. So as I'm recording this, yesterday is when I remembered this whole housing help thing and the experience. You know what I mean? I don't know whether you compartmentalize or you try and block things out or whatever, but maybe that's what it is. In order to deal with, you want to form new memories. You don't want to be dwelling on things. So even in my kind of talking about the experience in a way to kind of talk about the past, quote unquote, and to share the experience. And I think it's a unique perspective, being somebody who supposedly, that societal narrative of, oh, you did okay in your life and you went to this university thing. This idea that going to university gives you an inherent advantage over everybody else in the world, which it does, and maybe it did more so in a time where less people had the degree. But again, one or two things happen to you in your late 20s, whether they're self-imposed or what will be the exact term, self-imposed. What I'm trying to get is problems you brought upon yourself. You know what I mean? Problems you brought upon yourself, which is how I'm choosing to frame it. 95%. There's a 5% of some of it's societal, I guess. You can't take everything on yourself, but 95% of it is yourself, 5% of it is the system or whatever. And then you find yourself out there being like, damn, how am I supposed to navigate all this? In a shitty state of mind, in a state of mind that's 0 out of 10. Let's see, apply for social housing. So housingregistry.ca, it takes me to this link. What is the registry? The Social Housing Registry of Ottawa's office has reopened at 2197 Riverside Drive. That is literally down the street from me. It's close to Billingsbridge Plaza. It's close to the Community Health Center. All of these things and then if you follow me on IG, I take a lot of pictures around this area. It's all in the same area. Which is ironic that when I lost my housing in this part of town that I was totally unaware of. And I guess some of this too is, maybe some of it is you don't know what to Google. I don't know. It's hard to kind of, like I said, I'm only remembering the house, some of these experiences right now. So it's kind of hard to understand why I didn't, or why anybody wouldn't immediately kind of search for these resources. Anyway, the Social Housing Registry of Ottawa's office is reopened at 2197 Riverside Drive, Suite 511. The Social Housing Registry of Ottawa, the Registry, is a non-profit organization that maintains the central waiting list for people applying for rent-geared-to-income RGI housing. The Registry keeps the list according to rules set out by the Province of Ontario in the Housing Services Act of 2011. And this is Social Housing Registry. This is just a fancy term for public housing. And what they have is a list. I wonder if I can get a hold of that list. Okay, well, I'm saying this in this episode, so I'll be re-listening to this. Maybe I'll try and get a copy of the list. Basically, yes. I'm going off in my head thinking about documenting some of this shit. Anyway, the registry is basically the place where it takes 3 to 5 years to get on into public housing. That's the moral of that story. Who can apply? If you're looking for subsidized housing, the registry is a good place to start. Our providers have homes for single people, families, and seniors. What's available? When you apply for housing through the registry, you are applying for subsidized housing. This means that you will pay about 30% of your gross monthly income on rent, and if your income changes, your rent will also change. Subsidized units are for households with lower incomes. Subsidized housing can be apartments, townhouses, rooming houses, and units for households with special needs such as wheelchair access. The rooming houses thing will always be this thing in my head. Anyway, it's almost worth, and let me say this now, it's almost worth doing another video documentation of the rooming house process. The thing is, I don't know if they remember me now, so I don't know if I can just pretend to go in there and want a house or whatever to show y'all, because I showed y'all the inside of the house, of one of the rooming houses. It'd be actually interesting to show you the actual the process of how do you get into these rooms. I need to find somebody that I can pay to do this for me. You know what I mean? Send somebody in there with a phone to record it all. Anyway, so yeah, housing help. I'll link this. I keep saying I'll link, but I think I forget to link things. Let me go back and link some of these things in here. Yeah. All right, what are we at here? I may hop back in. This may be the end of the episode. Peace, folks. To say that I've profiled this Somerset West Community Health Center on Echo Street, which is in like the rooming house hot kind of like hot zone, so to speak. I actually just saw that. Well, first of all, their annual general meeting is happening June 20th. Let's go to the page here. This is on the homepage. Annual general meeting. Please join us Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. Registration 5 p.m. The meeting is 5:30 p.m. Hintonburg Community Center, 1064 Wellington Street West. So that is the annual general meeting. I just discovered that they have a YouTube video. It's like a little promotional YouTube video here. You guys can watch it, swchc.on.ca. And I've learned that if the listeners that aren't from this city, maybe you want to, I often say that this means nothing to you, but maybe it does. You know what I mean? Like maybe me talking about this stuff here can help you guys out there, at the very least, not just necessarily seek out these kind of resources, but maybe like help you implement these kind of resources in your own city. So check it out, swchc.on.ca. This is a health center that kind of helped me out when I was living in this rooming house hotspot. But now so the mobile site is a bit different than the actual like desktop site. And so now I'm seeing something here called Newsfeed. December 4th, they published an article here. Rooming houses in West Central Ottawa received failing grade again in 2017. New report card applauds city's commitment to review licensing bylaw for rooming houses, but finds rooming houses often fail to meet minimum standards for safety, affordability, and maintenance. Why would you applaud the commitment to review? How about you applaud the actual change? Anyway, new data shows that 73% of Ottawa rooming house residents have between 1 and 3 concurrent mental health disorders. Additionally, 55% are between the ages of 50 and 60. Interesting. This data comes in today's release of the 2017 report card on rooming houses for 2 community health centers, Somerset West and Centertown. I gotta make note of all this because today is a day I have more time, so I'm going to be just going through all these places. The report card, Improving Health and Housing in Ottawa, an update on rooming houses in West Central Ottawa, is a follow-up to the 2016 report that found rooming houses in West Central Ottawa often fail to meet minimum standards for safety, affordability, and maintenance. Tenants reported experiencing rodent infestations, mold, exposed pipes, and electrical, and no heating for long periods in the winter. See, I literally slept in a hoodie, and I slept basically in as if I was outside in my own room. And those of you who saw that video, you saw the room that I was in. Anyway, you didn't see the inside of the room. Anyway, tenants reported experiencing 82% of tenants have experienced bed bugs. Yep. These findings highlight the critical need for improvement in rooming house living conditions. Following last year's report, the City of Ottawa's Bylaw and Regulatory Services committed to a review of the licensing bylaw, specifically related to rooming houses and private home conversions. A report with recommendations will be presented to the Community and Protective Services Committee and Council. So bureaucratic. I never even heard of that. In early 2018, so that already happened, I guess. Rooming houses play an important but often overlooked role in providing affordable housing in our communities, since many people can't afford most options in the housing market due to the high cost. Rooming houses meet the desperate need for low-income housing options for many who would otherwise live on the streets or in overburdened city shelters. Report card calls upon the City of Ottawa, landlords, and the Government of Ontario to take immediate action to improve living conditions. Alright, so I'm going to end this off here. I'm going to open up this report card in a new tab, and then I'm going to narrate some of this in the next episode. Peace out, folks.